Hello and welcome back to On the Slopes by the Bogey Ball Society. We're here for Man on the Street interviews, and now I have with me Mr.
All right. Marty McConaughey, how's it going?
Mr. McConaughey,
Baggy balls. That's what I call my brother.
Bogey Ball Society.
How can I help you today?
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. McConaughey. I was just curious, do you consider yourself a golfer, even though we're on the ski slopes?
Hell yeah, I'm a golfer. I mean, look at me, right? I mean, if I didn't love golf, would I be skiing with 2 7-irons? No, I wouldn't. I'd be using ski sticks or whatever these are called, but I just do a little whoosh, 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 and I think about hitting golf balls the whole time. Uh-oh, losing my scarf. My daughter made this. She's 3 months old. She's incredibly talented.
Well, that was a very long-winded and unnecessary answer to that question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know it's the middle of ski season, as you can see.
It is, yeah.
But are you looking forward to the golf season? And what are your plans there?
Let me tell you, I love everything there is to love about golf. I love mini golf. I love the Gulf of Mexico or the USA, depending upon your political affiliation. I even once drove a VW Golf for a little while. It was a tiny vehicle, felt like a clown car, especially with all the McConaughey's in there. Yeehaw! But yeah, I love the peace, the zenful mind of being on a golf course and wanting to break the club in half after you shank it for the 17th time on hole 3. What was the question? I don't remember.
Cool. Another long and unnecessary answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at those long and unnecessary answers. In fact, that used to be my nickname, but it was too long and unnecessary. See what I did right there? Finger guns, watch out. I lost my, I almost lost these. That would have been a bummer, because we're up very high on this ski lift. Yep.
I'm actually not sure I remember any of that, but thank you, Mr. Was it Morty?
Long and unnecessary. Marty McConaughey, that's right.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for joining us here on the Bogey Ball Society. Man on the Street interviews coming to you from the slopes.
You can get those baggy balls fixed if you need to. What's that? Is bogey? Oh, bogey ball. That makes more sense. You're talking about golf so much. All right. Oh, there goes that scarf. I'm about to get off here and do the bunny slope again because I'm not a very good skier.
It's another no cart setup, like you're carrying or a push cart, that kind of thing.
That is correct. So they've got the 3-wheel push carts. They've got the big wheel rickshaws.
Rickshaws.
Yeah, the rickshaw carts, the big wheel ones that you pull behind you that are.
Oh, when you said rickshaw, I thought like I could hop in the cart and somebody would stand in front of me and wheel me down the fairway.
Brian, you're hired.
Welcome everyone back to the Bogey Ball Society podcast. I'm joined by the usual crew of Brian, Jason, Matt, and Jason. We're going to have to figure this out. Jason Kauflin from Wisconsin Golf Trips. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
So we decided, rather old Jason, tall Jason, we're calling him Jay for the purposes of this, right? And it's Jason. Okay. I'm just going to go with Golf Trip Jason and tall Jason, but what,
I like Golf Trip Jason. That's a good moniker.
Golf Trip Jason.
Okay, and when you have a question, tall Jason, wait till we call on you, tall Jason. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that sounds good.
Yeah,
I think we should call Jason Kauflin Your Honor. I feel like that has a good ring to it.
Well, Golf Trip Jason 6'3", so tall Jason is the first thing I'll respond to. So which is bad.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that
Just
out.
a lot of symmetries. 2 great first names, from a great state.
Great state.
Tall guys, man.
Yeah, you're actually both in Wisconsin too.
That's right.
But now, Jason, Wisconsin Golf Trips, Jason, are you also the average Wisconsin golfer as far as your handicap index goes?
Oh, good question.
I think I'm probably slightly above. I'm a 7.9.
Oh,
So
yeah.
You are way
decent
better.
golfer. I'm a
We can
working
just call you
man's- I'm a
Pro
working
Jason.
man's 8
Yeah.
handicap.
Yeah.
There we go. You are
So we
golf
have
pro
good
Jason.
Jason and
Yeah,
Jason.
bad Jason.
Correct.
No. I didn't say
No.
bad. I just said
Oh,
Jason.
sorry.
It's
But maybe
implied.
How about good Jason and evil Jason? Can we do that?
No.
Good Jason
Uh,
and average Jason.
That's
There
right.
we go.
Well, let me set the stage for why Jason Kauflin of Wisconsin Golf Trips is joining us. So, and I think we've kind of hinted at this in previous episodes, but Tall Jason, Brian, Matt, and I are 4 of 9 moderators on the My Golf Spy Forum. We are attempting to organize a golf trip and for background for some of this, like Brian, Matt, and I have met in person. We've never actually met Jason in person.
That's true.
There's a
He might not be real.
right. He's AI.
just a figment of your imagination.
Right. He's artificial intelligence, but like low grade artificial intelligence.
Very low
Like,
grade.
He's also 5'11".
right.
It's just
We have
all a lie.
One of our moderators is actually in Switzerland. There's another that none of us have met, and we're all over the place is the point. And so we've had circled on the map that 26 is the year that the 9 of us are going to get together on a golf trip. We had Bandon Dunes circled on the calendar. Recently, we kind of learned that they have switched, based on a supply and demand thing, they have switched to essentially a lottery system, right? So you have to like cross your fingers and hope that you win a lottery ticket for the chance to reserve within a window date that might not necessarily be the dates that you want to go to Bandon Dunes. So 9 folks trying to coordinate plane tickets, schedules, etc. We kind of said, okay, let's pivot away from the lottery ticket thing to something a little more concrete. We started circling around the map, and Tall Jason from Wisconsin mentioned Sand Valley. Over to you, Jason, golf trip. Tell us about yourself and Wisconsin Golf Trip.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. My name is Jason Kauflin. I run Wisconsin Golf Trips. I've been doing it about 10 years. Basically, I was you guys. I was a guy planning golf trips for me and my buddies back in the day. And the genesis of Wisconsin Golf Trips happened back as early as 2011 when Aaron Hills was awarded the U.S. Open, which was in 2017. So that was when the green light went off for me that said, someday down the road, when they're showing the U.S. Open at Aaron Hills, they'll show one of those big maps where they zoom in on Wisconsin and they'll show where Whistling Straits is. And guys like us will see 2 major championship hosting venues that are within an hour or so of each other and think, man, that'd be a cool place to go on a golf trip. So the wheels started turning in my head. I had pretty much everything rocking and rolling before Mike Kaiser had the vision of Sand Valley even in his head. So for me, when Sand Valley came into existence, I felt like a pretty lucky guy in the world to have this kind of foresight on what Wisconsin could become. And in the last 10 years, unless you've been living under a rock, it has become that. So, the Golf Digest top 100 public courses list, Wisconsin has 10 of the top 100, more than any other state.
Wow.
And I'm a very cocky tour operator. If I'm in my circles, I'm in my international circles all the time with the people from all over the world, and I tell them, you give me 7 days and give me good weather, I'll put my destination up against any place in the world for a good golf trip. So,
Is that well understood? I mean, do you feel like everyone knows Wisconsin's this mecca of golf? Because I got to tell you, I was surprised.
yeah, no, it's again, I go to the governor's conference on tourism every year, so they show the stats of when you hear the word golf and top golf course destinations and what comes to mind in Wisconsin is certainly still not there. I think for the experienced traveler, Hayes, I think the groups that have done Ireland and Scotland and are looking, I think they've either been here or planning to come here. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So, the Midwest in general, especially in the international community, I don't even know if you talk to somebody in these international conventions I go to, if you say the word Wisconsin, they can even point to it on a map within 12 states. So but the Midwest, as I try to explain to them, look at the last 3 Ryder Cups. That's always what I bring up, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Wisconsin. There's got to be something going on. So it is part of my mantra. I do feel like an ambassador to the state and to the Midwest in general to try to get the word out on what we have. Because when I first got going, Hayes, between Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, we had almost a quarter of the top 100 courses in the United States in those 3 states. So it's there's something going on for sure.
Yeah. So, in zeroing in on Wisconsin again, you mentioned Erin Hills. There's Whistling Straits, but the one we've circled on the map, Sand Valley, is how many courses on property? 4 right now.
4 right now with the plus the par 3. There's another course under construction that's it's almost hard to keep track of what's going on at Sand Valley. If you think about Bandon Dunes, if you've read the history of Bandon Dunes, or there's a great book on the making of Bandon Dunes. If I ever talk to Mike Kaiser face to face, Mike Kaiser Sr., I'd love to know, how did he get so many rich friends of his to come out there when there was only one golf course there?
It's really true.
Because
Yeah.
it's so hard to get to. What was the incentive to come and play one round of golf there? So
Yeah.
Sand Valley, the people that think Sand Valley is hard to get to have not been to Bandon. If you've tried to get to Bandon, then all you hear about Sand Valley's in the north central part of Wisconsin. It's about 3 hours from either the Milwaukee Airport or Chicago O'Hare or the Minneapolis Airport. So it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere if you think about it that way, but it's easy to get to. It's not like, it just takes a little bit more logistical challenges. Again, the trip Matt and I have talked about, obviously with you guys coming from all over, you'll probably have to build in a travel day to get there and that kind of thing. But the coolest part about Sand Valley, why is Sand Valley where it is? It's because long ago, 2 glaciers collided and created this incredible mountain of sand that was discovered. So you'll be driving up and it's flat as a pancake, and you'll see these tall pines everywhere. And you'll be like, my GPS is telling me we're getting to Sand Valley in 10 minutes. And you're literally confused. Like, what is going to be so exciting about this place? And you turn onto the property and it looks like you just got transported into another part of the world with all the sand that's around. So it's very cool. Again, there was the gentleman that discovered the property, Craig Haltom, that pitched it to Mike Kaiser. He tried to get the project started himself. He was the one that discovered the property and did all the research on it. And when Mike Kaiser, I don't think it took very long once he stepped on property and realized what it was, that it's a blank canvas for any great golf designer to see that much sand and to see all the rolling hills. So they've done a very good job with it.
We should probably let our listeners know right now, like, we have already commissioned Golf Trip Jason to actually do this trip for us. This isn't a sales pitch in and of itself. So
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right,
Yeah, we were already sold.
I'll give everyone that's listening to this or watching this the 10 seconds part of it is Sand Valley is very difficult to book. It's the hardest property in Wisconsin to get booked because, as you guys have found out, anybody that's looked at Bandon Dunes as a golf group, the Kemper Sports family, the Kaiser family, it's all the same companies that are running these properties, and the way that they market is just a little different than a lot of golf resorts. They're just very intense on letting everybody know when those places are opening for business. So a couple weeks leading up to when the tee times and lodging opens for Sand Valley, that email list, the Bandon Dunes Sand Valley email list, is probably the most valuable thing in sports right now. You're getting bombarded with information on, hey, we're opening on this day. If you want to come in 2026, this is when we're opening. And so the minute that tee sheet opens to the public, and Hayes, am I concerned that it's going to turn into Bandon Dunes at Sand Valley with the sweepstakes and the lottery? Sure I am. But for now, it's still, can you get in within that first 24 to 48 hours with your group and get what you need for your guys? The sales pitch on this that Matt and I talked about, which Matt got very excited about, is with the amount of business that we bring to that facility, we are afforded the ability to come in before that date and grab what we need for the groups that, like you guys, that are planning ahead. And to be honest with you, to get 4 or 5 rooms for 3 or 4 nights, I don't know how anybody else would do it except to find us and have me try to grab it for you.
Wow. So you're an in-demand guy.
I've got you're one of a big list of waiting for the 2026 availability.
And it goes without saying we're at the very top of that list. You don't even have to answer that.
Obviously.
No, no, come on.
You don't have to
I'm
answer
offended that it was even brought up.
That's why tall Jason is here, to be the Go Pack Go.
He wouldn't leave Wisconsinite in the cold.
No,
We deal with it long enough. We don't need it extra.
Correct.
But Jason, actually, I had a question for you. So I've like been the group planner for golf trips before for like 12 to 15 people, and
I was going
like,
to say trips to Disney don't count for this.
no,
but
no, New Hampshire area, and like calling golf courses and trying to figure out all the tee times and everything like that. What's like the average group size that you kind of end up working with, and then like when do you think it's most valuable? Is there a sweet spot where you can really work easily, or are there some groups that get really hard to work with?
That's a long-winded question that
Sorry.
I mean can go many directions.
he does that.
I do.
You want to add any more questions to that before I answer?
No. We can edit out the last 30 seconds of it.
Perfect.
Also, how about that election, huh? I mean, that's...
I think, Brian, I think 8s to 12s, 8 and 12 is certainly a wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
The part of your answer that I'd like to comment about, it really, 4 guys, 8 guys, 12 guys, I don't think it has much to do with how hard it is when it comes to the number. It more has to do with how complicated your trip's going to get. To give you a little history of Wisconsin, 25 years ago, Whistling Straits and Black Wolf Run, Destination Kohler, when Destination Kohler first launched as a resort, that's what everybody did. You made one phone call, they set it all up for you, and did you need a tour operator to do that? Not necessarily. But now with Erin Hills and Sand Valley, believe me, I'm doing work. I'm actually doing work to find people's trips for them. So I think that I've done, looking at like last year, I did 3 or 4 groups of 20 or more into Wisconsin. I also did some singles and couples, and people are shocked to hear me say. They're shocked to hear me say that.
Yeah, that's.
My wife she's argued with me from day one about that kind of stuff. How can you justify the time it takes to do a single and a couple? She doesn't get the industry. She doesn't understand what our buddies are like.
Yeah.
The word of mouth in this world, I treat everybody like a king. I don't know who you people are. You're a couple and you want to come and spend a week in Wisconsin. I don't know what club you belong to or who your friends are. I'm going to treat you like royalty. And that's paid off for me very much in this industry.
That's really cool. I am kind of shocked to hear that there's like singles that are being like, how do you
find a tee time for that?
I had a single that came a couple years ago from Florida. He came not 1, not 2, 3 separate weeks in one summer. And hit every course you could mention. So he was like 1 in July, 1 in August, 1 in September.
That's
great. And it was like, sure, I'll help you, and I had a foursome last year that they wanted to play all 10 top 100 courses on the Golf Digest list. And we found a way to do it. It was over 7 or 8 days, and they packed in a couple of days, but they walked away playing all 10.
That's awesome.
Those are cool stories. They're great stories.
All right. So you've obviously played Sand Valley. What's your current ranking of the 4?
Okay.
And where does it stack up, those 4, compared to, let's say, I know you love Scotland. So let's say Scotland, because Scotland is like right here on my, like, if I won the lottery on Tuesday, I'm going to Scotland. Like I'm going, and I'm playing everything I can think of.
Yeah. I am beyond obsessed with Scotland. We can talk about that for hours.
Perfect.
Beyond obsessed.
There's no time limit on this podcast, by the way, so go ahead.
A quick story of why is a guy from Wisconsin obsessed with Scotland. So a lot of people don't know the Old Course Hotel that you hit over top of on 17 on the Old Course is owned by the Kohler Corporation. Is owned by
really?
Mr. Kohler.
Yeah.
So
I did not
25
know
years
that.
ago, when that hotel was kind of fledgling and in a little disrepair and went up for sale, Mr. Kohler invested and bought the property.
Wow.
So if you go on the Kohler, Wisconsin website and you start digging into things, you will find the Old Course Hotel and their packages in Scotland. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
the beauty of my life is when you're good at what I do, things start to open, doors open for you.
Sure. Yeah.
So 5 or 6 years ago, their staff at the Old Course Hotel found out about me and how much business I was bringing to Wisconsin and said, would you like to come over and learn our product so you can sell our packages?
Hold on.
And
Let
I
me
was like,
think.
Let me think. Now, do you see, if you can see this little picture behind my shoulder of 2 beautiful people on the bridge, that was that trip.
Yeah.
That was my wife and I getting
man.
hosted to go over and get wined and dined in Scotland for a
That's
few
so
days.
cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
So
incredible.
I have spent, since that trip, I was there for 18 days in October of 2023. Like I'm obsessed with going to these tourism events and then spending an extra week on my own, getting to every little
man.
course you can possibly think of.
Fantastic.
Like, I just love the place. So Sand Valley, back to your answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to include the par 3 in the
Yeah,
answer.
absolutely. Sorry. Yes. So 5 then technically, right?
It's probably the second best par 3 I've played as far as most fun, best to do with your buddies.
It's
The one
super
at
fun.
Bandon Dunes, Bandon Preserve is probably the best one I've ever played as far as a par
right.
3 course. But I'm like a par 3 snob. I'm like a par 3 short course, putting course snob.
Amazing.
So
Yeah. Great.
I feel like I've played all the ones you hear about.
Mhm.
But yeah, the sandbox is spectacularly fun. The combination of these little holes you can use putter on and then some big challenging par 3s. It's a great little course. I think the original 2 courses are the best 2 courses there. Sand Valley and Mammoth Dunes, the first one, Court Crenshaw, the second one, David McClay Kidd. I probably am in the minority now, just so you know, with that opinion.
Oh, really?
The 2 new ones,
the
Lido, which is
Sedge and Lido, right?
the Lido and Sedge Valley. So the Lido, for those that aren't following this stuff, the Lido opened in 2023. It is a pure recreation of a course that was destroyed about 100 years ago on Long Island.
Oh.
At the time, it was the top course in the United States, and they needed the property for military training, and the course disappeared. And a faction of people took all the pictures they could and any original documents they could and recreated the course at Sand Valley. It's a marvel. If you get into the detail of how much effort they put into recreating the holes, it is absolutely spectacular.
I've read
did it.
that they used the machines use the GPS tracker to literally get the exact grade the same, which is absurd.
If you look at the photos,
Yeah.
and it is
It's amazing.
like I said, it's spectacular. And Tom Doak was involved. Do you guys know of the Loop in Michigan? Are you familiar with the Loop at Forest Dunes? That's Tom Doak's reversible course that he did.
Oh,
It's a Tom Doak's Loop is like a crescent moon, and you play it clockwise one day and counterclockwise the next.
Huh.
And both of the rotations are on the Golf Digest Top 100, the red version and the black version.
holy
So
smokes!
it's my review of the Lido is very similar to the Loop. And again, this is where you ask Jason a question. Jason's got an opinion. He's going to share it. They're both design marvels. They're both spectacular designs. Are they fun to play? Not really.
Mhm.
The Loop, every green, if you can imagine, you're playing it from opposite directions, both
That's unreal.
opposite days.
Yeah.
Every green is crowned like Pinehurst. Every green is falling off on all sides. So you're hitting good shots that are just falling off the green, and you're
That's
like,
not-
all right, let me go try to save a bogey, and it's no fun. So,
As somebody who doesn't hit a lot of greens, that doesn't really worry me, to be honest. I'm just kidding.
let me be clear. I got into a big argument this year with the assistant pro at Erin Hills, Andy, who's a great She's a great golfer.
Did you
and
guys
she
fight?
loved Sedge Valley. She loved Sedge Valley. We were
Oh.
literally in her office, like, you're crazy, like yelling, like, you're nuts.
Did it come to
Awesome.
blows?
I hope
Didn't come to
so.
blows. She might be able to beat me up, so I'm not too worried about that. But so my favorite at Sand Valley is Mammoth Dunes. I think Mammoth Dunes, David McClay Kidd, might be the most fun golf course on the planet. And I've been around. I think it might be the most fun golf course on the planet. There are people that go play it that can't wrap their heads around what they see. The first fairway is about 130 yards wide.
Yes.
And you get these guys that
I
get up
might
there and
hit
they're
that
like, I'm telling you, it's and some people are just like, oh, this is Mickey Mouse golf and this is no fun and whatever. All I know is you hit your first drive, you go up to it. The caddy tells you to aim here and hit this dart yardage, and you block one 40 yards right of your target, and the guy says, oh, don't worry about it, it'll probably catch the edge of the green. And I look around like, how can anybody not find this fun? This is freaking awesome, So
Yeah.
Here's the difference between David McClay Kidd and Tom Doak. And again, if you've been to Bandon, those are the first, those are the two guys involved with the first 2 courses. At Mammoth Dunes, McClay Kidd, not only is he trying to help you keep the ball in the fairway, but every green is helping you try to get the ball into the green. It's caved on a lot of sides. It's trying to bring the ball in. Doak at Sedge Valley, the opposite. Doak at Sedge Valley's repelling the ball. It's keeping it away from the flag stick, and it's hard. It's harder. And I just golf's hard enough.
For
Golf's
sure.
hard enough.
Is the idea on that design and this is just a quick follow up, is it designed to make it a championship course as opposed to a great fun public course? Like, is that the goal that do you think that he's setting out to, or he just thinks turtlebacks are fun and he wants to punish people for coming to his course?
Well, but it's not a designer mantra, because if you look at McClay Kidd's work and you look at Gamble Sands, and one of my favorite courses in the world is the Castle course in St. Andrews. That again, Tom Doak gives it a 0 on his scale as far as playability, a 0 out of 10. Like people hate the place because of the.
Okay.
They made David McClay Kidd come back in a couple of years after he built it because they wanted to take 2 elephants out of the greens and only leave 1 elephant under the greens. And it's like,
Wow.
I personally find it to be one of the most fun golf courses on the planet because of the ways you can play it and the fun of it. And so again, these reviews and the comments I have on reviews, again, these are my opinions.
Absolutely.
These are how I rank courses.
Yeah.
And talking about what I see from groups and what groups do wrong when they come on these trips. Taking it too seriously is at the top of the list. I mean, you're not at your home course. You're not going to play as good as you do at your home course. Why would you expect to do those kinds of things? So, but no,
Hayes. He's talking to you, Hayes.
But the beauty of Sand Valley, again, the beauty of Sand Valley is out of your 9 guys, you'll do a trip up there. You'll argue all the way to the airport. You'll argue about which one the best one is. And that's what makes a great golf destination.
For sure.
Well, you're bringing up something I definitely want to ask you about. So, and I definitely want to talk more about Sand Valley, but I am interested in backing up. Let's talk like larger, like golf trip concept, because we're essentially 18 months out from trying to make this trip happen, which, it still kind of astonishes me that demand is so high that that's how far you have to plan in advance. But can you kind of speak to ways that a group of guys gets this kind of thing wrong? Like some, top 3, top 5, like pitfalls of how to mess up a golf trip. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think number one is compromising or sacrificing what you have in mind.
I compromise with no one, so we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I just sent in my numbers to my big vendors, Sand Valley and Erin Hills and Kohler. I do a running total year by year. And like at Sand Valley, there was a little bit of a dip in 2023. Why? It's because things got harder to book. And I'm very good at telling a group, hey, I'd wait another year. I'm going to be around. The course is going to be around. Let's not squeeze it in and try to fight, not be able to get what you want. I think that's the number. That's a big part of it, Hayes. Why try to get there this year because you're hearing all these things about it if you can't get the Lido was just ranked the top golf course in Wisconsin on a recent ranking of public and private. That's a whole other discussion. I don't agree with it, but that's where it was. So your group of guys, somebody in your group sees that ranking and then you guys start planning a trip to Sand Valley and Matt comes back to the group and says, hey, I talked to Jason and here's what we got planned for 2025 and the Lido's not on there. That would be crazy. You can only book it if you're staying on property. That's the only one you have to be on property for.
Right.
The other ones, you might be able to get a random tee time staying at a local Airbnb or VRBO, but therefore, as Matt and I talked about, no, we'd want to play them all. Well, that's a 2026 trip right now. So
right.
it's just, let's plan it ahead. I think, honestly, Hayes, the biggest one is coming on these trips and, like I said, taking it too seriously. I do a lot of going out on the golf course and saying hi to groups and handshaking and taking photos. It's the best networking I can do. Your group of 9, except for me being on this podcast, usually it's just me and Matt getting to know each other. We're the ones that talked about the trip and we went over the details. And then, Hayes, all you see is here's a guy named Jason Kauflin from Wisconsin Golf Trips asking me for money for a deposit. That's all you really know about me.
Right.
So most of the time, if I come out on the golf course to meet you guys, you might know a little bit about me, but probably haven't talked and you haven't heard much about what I do. And every time I go out on the golf course, somebody will say, hey, Jason, this is really well done. Is Wisconsin all you book? And I get to talk about all my business and where else we book. So it's great networking. But when I go out on those courses, when I go out and take pictures for group stays, I mean, I see some crazy stuff. I see.
We need at least one example.
Well, number 3 is tied into playing the wrong tee box, not keeping pace. I was on the 7th tee box at Whistling Straits on the signature par 3 called Shipwreck, one of the ones you see in a lot of the photos. I had 20 Indian doctors from California who were great. They were awesome. They were so fun to work with, great to book. They were the slowest players in human history. I was standing on the 7th tee box, looking at my watch, thinking, okay, they should be here. And there was no group for 20 minutes. So they, in holes 1 through 6, they got at least 20 to 25 minutes behind.
Oh, now do you feel that comes back and reflects on you? Like you're the guy that booked that group?
If they didn't know me really well, it might. But so one of the assistant pros at the time comes out in a cart on the tee box, and I got to watch her tell them, if you don't hurry up, we will pick you up on the 9th hole and drive you to hole 12. We will literally drive you to hole 12. And I was like, oh, it's great. So, but
I love it.
But no, here's the thing, Hayes. You think about a group of 12 where golfers 11 and 12 were probably the fill-ins or friends of friends that were invited.
Yeah. The Bryans of the group. Got it. Yeah.
No, don't say that. and they're not as good or whatever, and they're playing the wrong tee box, and it's like, I just feel the pain of some of these guys where it's like, oh God, what are you guys doing to these guys? And I met a group on the Irish course at Whistling Straits last year. Just great group of 12 guys, guys you really feel like you get to know and you want to make sure they have a perfect trip. And I went out to take some photos for them, and I missed them on hole 10 at the Irish, which is my favorite perfect photo. So I went over to 15 and I met him on the tee box. It's a long par 4 into the wind that Pete Dye designed to just destroy you. And they're playing from, I'm waiting in my cart for where they should be playing. And they pull up and stop like 2 tee boxes back. And I'm like, every guy in the group had 240 in for their second shot on this par 4. Like, guys, what are you doing?
They want to see the whole course, Jason.
Yeah.
Wow.
So are you saying that I shouldn't make Hayes play from the tips when we come down to Sand Valley?
You should not.
I'm on the stack, baby. I can bring it.
When I'm going through my run through with groups and a group leader or somebody else in the group will ask me, what tee box should we play from? I stop them. Like, guys, hey, let's have a talk about what you're in for this trip for. Seriously, like, if there's any doubt, move up. Like, talk to the starters. Like, these courses. I mean, Whistling Straits is one of the hardest. The Straits course is one of the hardest courses I've ever played in the whole world. Like, why would you want to try to tip it out? My God, it's so hard. So, but anyway, that's just me. Some people love it. Some people want to test themselves and all that. You're not Bryson. You're not Bryson DeChambeau. You can't carry it 400 yards along number 5 like you see on TV. Just go out and play the course. So
challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So, Jason, the point you made to Hayes' question, the first one, where if people are, you encourage them to go a year back if they're not going to get to play the courses they want. If you run into groups that they're, no matter what, they're bound and determined, they're coming to Wisconsin in 2025 and you can't book their premier courses. So Sand Valley, Heron Hills, Whistling, Century World, etc. Because I live here, I know there's a ton of hidden gem courses in the state.
Oh yeah.
Do you book like the Lake Arrowheads, the Bullseyes? Like, do you have access to Stevens Point Country Club or any other private clubs? Or what do you do for kind of those trips where people can't get the marquee course, but they still really want to come to the state?
For the record, I've booked all the courses you just mentioned.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Love it. I play Arrowhead and Bullseye every year.
Bullseyes. I got hosted at Bullseye years ago. I had a connection up there, and it blew me away. I was like, between Bullseye and Stevens Point Country Club, again, okay, we can't stay on property at Sand Valley this year. We don't care about the Lido. We hear all these great things about Sand Valley. We just want to play 1 or 2 of the courses up there. Okay, stay at the Inn at Century World. Come over there for a day trip for 1 or 2 days, play Century World, play Stevens Point, play Lasonia on the way up. I mean, if this group went and played Lasonia and Century World and Stevens Point Country Club, they'd be like, this is the greatest trip we've ever done. I mean, that's the scary part about Wisconsin, Jason, is if you took Century World and cut it out of the earth and dropped it into Illinois or Indiana or Iowa, it'd probably be the number 1 or number 2 course in the state. And for us,
holy smokes,
it's kind of a redheaded stepchild. I only get maybe 7 or 8 groups booked there because, I heard about it, but no, we want to do Kohler and we want to do Heron Hills and we want to do Sand Valley. But I'll tell you, one of the most successful trips I have that people are shocked to hear is I I'm a big Erin Hills guy. Why am I? Erin Hills is great because you don't need to stay on property. There's no requirements. You can get a tee time pretty easily. It's expensive and but it's pays off. It's well worth it. But to do that course, and then some of the ones down in the Delafield area, Nagawaki, Morningstar, Broadlands, Loch LaBelle, Washington County, I can do a trip for $1,000 a guy where Erin Hills is half the cost, and they walk away from 4 days going, that was freaking awesome. Like that's my job. That's my expertise, is taking a budget and really hammering it out for people. Yeah, I'm really good at it.
You just ripped off like half of my 2025 playlist there with Washington County and Loch LaBelle.
As I say all the time, if I was taking people to dog tracks, just to get them onto into a golf package, I wouldn't be very good at what I do. But you go to Nagawaki, you pull in the parking lot, and you see some guys with jeans get out of their car, and you're like, what kind of hole is this? And you go and you play the golf course, you get on like hole number 4, and you're like, you know what, this place is freaking awesome for what, and again, for what you pay for it, that's an awesome golf course. So my job as a golf tour operator, whether the course is $50 or $750, is, does this course fit your group, and does it pay off? That is my job. So I enjoy every part of that, because I have booked every public course anybody would ever want to play in Wisconsin for sure, and most of the private ones as well. So it's I definitely I'm a big fan of what we have. There's no doubt about it. I'm glad I like my job. So
can you book Blue Mound?
I live about 30 seconds from Blue Mounds.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I live right in Wauwatosa. I've got...
Now we enter the part of the podcast where the Wisconsin guys talk Wisconsin stuff.
See, I gotta...
I'm just answering questions. Don't
no, I know. I just
for
think
God's sake. I'm a guest on this podcast.
Do you drink Milwaukee's Best? I drink Milwaukee's Best.
I'm a guest. Don't come at me.
We're just going to mute average Jason. It's fine.
Well, we can continue this on a private line a little later.
That's right. Exactly right.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it's making me really excited for our golf trip coming up, and it's also making me really sad because it's like 15 degrees outside right now.
It's good to have a break. No. It's good to have this time off for us people living in the north. I mean, I relish it. I'm glad to get I enjoy having some time off to refocus on things. So, but
golf trip, Jason, you can be as candid as you want, or as polite as you want, but you kind of indicated to a few like incidents. What's the crappy part of your job? Like when you're doing this, there have to be some war stories of, man, that was brutal. and you can frame this as in like another thing not to do. You know what I mean? But tell us how to not make your life miserable as your clients in 26.
Respect. Have some respect for me. Excuse my French.
I just had a nerve. All right.
I have people that, I'll give you a little background on how I operate. If I got groups right now where I'm finalizing their numbers for 2025, where Sand Valley just released the rates for 2025 about a week ago. So I'm coming back to groups that have been on the books for a year to tell them, hey, that Kohler, Erin Hills, and Sand Valley trip, we finally know what your final cost is. So you're coming in September of 2025, and here we know your cost. I'm going to start talking about dinners and transportation now. I'm going to start talking about dinners 9 months in advance. Why? Well, if you're 12 guys and you're trying to get a dinner reservation the week you're going on the trip, it's not going to work. So if Matt is too busy with life when that time comes, he's like, oh, we'll deal with that when we get to it. I'll go book your freaking reservations for you without even asking you. Because I don't want to wait till 3 months before and have this perfect plan of attack based on your golf plan and then have reservations not be available. So if you want to go ahead and change them when the time comes, that's on you. But here's a perfect plan of attack for dinner for 12 guys. Take my advice or leave it. So I will do that, or I'll get a really good group leader that's engaged and into it and talking about all this stuff, Hayes. And then they'll call me the day before and say, Jason, we decided we want to meet at Horse and Plow tomorrow. Can you switch that from Whistling Straits? And it's like, have you not been paying attention to anything we've talked about for 18 months? Are you stupid? Like, no,
I'd
you
like
can't
a unicorn
just call
too.
and change it. No, and shuttle reservations. I spend a lot of time dealing with transportation. If I'm providing ground transportation, I'm coming to every detail. I want to know who's coming in when. Yep. And if you call me the day before and say, oh, I didn't tell you that Tony's coming in 3 hours before the rest of us and he needs to get picked up you're an idiot. no, don't do that to me. Like I've got a job to do and I do it well, but don't ask for things that can't happen or that are really, really hard to change.
Yeah.
So horror stories. The worst ones are mistakes by my vendors, plain and simple.
Okay.
Easily.
Sure.
The worst one ever was 12 guys from Washington, D.C. on the guy, when I met them, 5 guys came in early and I met him. I hosted him at my home club and had a great lunch with him. And the guy hands me, Hayes, a booklet, like 30 pages of their trip. Each course, the bio of each guy in the trip. Like, this is incredible. This is more than I would do. Like, this is unbelievable.
I'm not going to be
and
doing
I'm reading
that.
through the.
I'm just
No.
telling you now.
Nobody does that. Like that was like that was pretty impressive.
Brian has a lot of food allergies.
He won't need that to know I'm the short one.
That's right.
And I'm
So
reading
that's fine.
I'm reading the bios of these guys, and I'm seeing former director of the FBI, lead counsel of this place. My wife owns Dick's Sporting Goods, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like,
Wow.
These guys are for real. Okay, and then 3 days later, they're leaving Sand Valley, picked up by one of my transportation vendors, and on their way to Kohler, to Whistling Straits. A bag falls out of the back of the shuttle.
Oh, no.
No lie.
And it had all of Beyonce's stuff in it.
Last bag in, door didn't close. They're 10 miles down the highway. They hear a flapping door, and they go and they're like, dude, where's my bag? Never found. It's just stuff like that. No, it'll keep you up at night. Though, and I'll tell you the worst story or the worst question ever posed by one of my customers is easy. The American Club in Kohler, the only 5-star hotel in all of the Midwest, the American Club in Kohler. I had a lady call my phone. This woman called me, left a phone. I see my phone ring about 10 p.m. one night. I know it's a customer, and I'm like, okay, I'm asleep. No offense, I'm asleep. I didn't get this. I listened to it the next morning, and I hear, Jason, this is so-and-so from the John Jones group or whatever it was, and I've got a problem. The Wi-Fi at the American Club is not fast enough, and I've got a business call in the morning. Is there anything you can do? And I said,
I'll get right on that.
My wife and kids they've laughed about this stuff for years. In fact, my son, when he was about 14, made me a birthday card, and it had literally a picture of a bag falling out of the back of the car, and like all the things he hears about that go wrong. He thinks it's the best.
Right,
So
Matt, make sure you bring a LAN cable when we go.
Absolutely. Ethernet,
totally.
yeah.
Anything.
Now,
Apparently the internet stinks out there.
Did the owner of Dick's Sporting Goods get better Wi-Fi? Like, how did she handle it? Not to put her on blast, but it obviously is the same person.
No, the worst part about that story was the vendor, the owner of the company, calls me and is asking my advice. Like, Jason, I don't know what to do. I got the list from the guy, and the first thing in it was my wallet with $2,000 was in it. And I'm like, look, my advice is call your freaking lawyer, call your insurance company, and figure it out. Do your job. And I said under the table, I said, now I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. I got to know these guys. I would not F around with them. That's my only advice for you. These guys are not messing around. So, yeah, it was.
The head of the FBI is notoriously friendly. He's like a notoriously lovely, forgiving person. He's fine.
They were cool guys. No, they were a good
sure
group.
They were great.
And I will say on a related subject, the most fun part of my job, honestly, is picking that phone up. To me, it's just Johnny and Bobby and Tommy, and you find out later who some of these guys are and the companies they run or whatever it is, and the billionaires that they are. And it's like, no, to me, they're just Bob running a golf trip. So it's fun to get to know some of these people for sure. And Matt Swanson, I hate to say it, on that list. Like, I talked to Matt Swanson, and he says, yeah, I'm with these My Golf Spy guys. I'm like, I think I've heard of My Golf Spy. That's cool, And then one thing leads to another, and you're like, then I'm on this podcast with you guys.
There you go.
This is pretty fun.
Matt gets old pretty quick. But
I just learned that Matt is a billionaire, so that's kind of news to me.
Right.
So
That's true.
Yeah. I'm relieved to hear you say that, though, because when we talk about special requests, Brian would like all the dishes brought down to the lower shelf so that he can reach it. Is that something we can accomplish?
Wow.
I don't believe what you're saying, because in his window, Matt, he looks like he's about 6'5".
That's
He
right.
likes
He
to-
just looks like
He
he's
likes
got
to lean in
stature.
and get aggressive.
Yeah.
No, he's got good
he's
stature.
he's up by the roof, but it's also that's like the Harry Potter room under the stairs is where he's recording from. So
He's sitting on that Boston phone book.
It is. I'm working out.
yeah,
I am short. It's fine. It's
So,
fine.
so Jason, you've mentioned multiple times that you try to meet groups out on the course for photos and whatnot.
so
Do you
cool.
try to do that with every group that comes out, or is it just based on how your schedule works, or how do you prioritize that, I guess, with
Yeah.
everything else you're doing?
It's a good question. I certainly go through. I keep my giant calendar is a bunch of post-it notes on a giant calendar. Like I can't find a digital way to do what I want it to do where I can see it all at once. So I certainly at the start of a month, I'll go through and find those days with 7 or 8 post-it notes on it and see if I can find 4 or 5 groups in one day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was a day last year I saw 7 groups in Kohler and Erin Hills in the same day.
Wow,
So
really?
it's- Yeah, and it's fun. You're just mapping it out. I'm going to hit this group on hole 11 and get over here by this time. And the guys at Whistling Straits know me pretty well, so they'll let me grab a cart and just kind of
That's so
tool
great.
around and find everybody. So it's fun, guys. There's nothing cooler than sitting on a good signature hole. I'll take a burst shot of each guy taking that shot,
Absolutely.
and I'll pull
Oh, that's
out
so
the 3
cool.
or 4 perfect shots and send them to them on high-res wallpapers, and
Oh
they'll be like,
man,
it's a great free souvenir, and it's only my time. It's a great thing to give to groups. But I like to think it this way, Jason, is if you've spent some money with me, if you're doing a serious trip, I'm going to find a way to either meet you, or I've got an associate that lives in Appleton as well, and one of the two of us will come find you, at least say hello and
So great.
and say thanks for coming.
think
Yeah,
that's
it's a big
awesome.
part of what I do.
I mean, that just it just goes to show the extra level of service you get when you trust. Because I mean, it is like this trip in 26 for us is a big deal. Like Hayes has said, I haven't met anybody, but we're all getting together, and it's like this is a giant thing for us, and so to trust somebody else to put it together, but then your investment in it on the other side is just awesome.
There's a lot of trust involved, and I again, going back to how it normally works, again, Matt and I can be best friends after a couple of conversations, and then you guys, I tell the group leader, like Matt, this stuff all the time. My signature line, my job is to make Matt's life easy and to make him look really good with the rest of you guys. That's it. But there is Jason, imagine me for the groups that don't want to spend the big money and want to do these trips, and they hear of these courses. Like I'm offering them courses they've maybe heard of Erin Hills, but they haven't heard of one other course. Like there's a lot of faith put into these things. And
For sure.
the one thing that I do different than pretty much every other tour operator I've ever met is if you go to my website, what is the first thing in the slider that comes up? It's a picture of me. Do I need to sell anybody to get excited to come to play Whistling Straits and Erin Hills and Sand Valley? I mean, I don't think so. Probably not if you're on my page looking for a golf trip. But I certainly, in that 20 seconds or whatever it is, that people spend on whatever part of your website, I want to show, hey, this guy knows what he's doing, So, and probably the most proud thing in my entire life is my testimonials page. I think if you go on that page, the way I do it, I think it looks like I've been in business for 25 years. There's so many photos and there's so many people's comments on there. But I do a lot of, I solicit the heck out of that stuff every year so I can add 10 or 12 really good ones. And I think that is more important in what I do than anything else, than the courses and what's here. So my kids like to make fun of it. I'm a guerrilla marketing crazy person. I've got poker chips with my face and website on it that I give out to everybody. I've got,
Love it.
Yeah.
I got golf balls with my face and an email address on them that I lose on purpose when I'm in Scotland and in other places.
Sure, on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lose.
You want to go find that? No, it's fine. It's marketing. It's fine.
That's great.
I just, there's like I said, I mean, I probably looked at 250 websites when I first built mine, and it was like, you go on these things and maybe you can find a contact page or an about page where you can find a couple people. But I mean, I wanted literally the first thing you see is here's Jason standing with his golf bag. And then you see the courses, like read it for 30 seconds. I mean, if you can't figure out that I know what I'm doing, then I don't want you as a customer, honestly.
Well, and now you mentioned the old hotel a little bit and your experiences over there, but I want to make sure everyone understands too. Like you are not just a Wisconsin golf trip guy. Like you have certainly expanded your reach in that department.
I appreciate you asking, Hayes. Yeah. So the negative, what's the negative of being an operator in Wisconsin?
Winter.
We're basically open 5 months out of the year.
Right.
So
Yeah.
As Jason can attest to, again, we can golf through April and early May, but am I going to book a trip for somebody in April? Of course not. Of course not. We've had snow in the first week of May around here. So it's, as my company has expanded, again, I can't create new tee times at Whistling Straits or Sand Valley. So for me, I feel like I've somewhat capped off in Wisconsin with that 65, 75 groups a year that I do at the big places. Again, as availability has gotten more difficult at a place like Sand Valley and Kohler's getting worse, again, finding a good time on the Straits course gets harder and harder and harder. As those, how many groups are looking 2 years in advance. So again, most of my job is handling the groups that are calling me 6 to 9 months ahead of time, where I can't get exactly what I'd want to for them. So I have to decide how to position it. Do I want to push them out a year later or just try to fit them in, that kind of thing. But for me as a company, the outbound arm of what I do has grown steadily. So we did about 20% of our total volume last year was outbound, meaning not to Wisconsin. Why is that? Well, again, I'm very good at what I do. So you get 12 guys that come on a trip and you've got an app on your phone with all the details. And it's like, man, this is so awesome. Somebody in that group's going to ask me where else I can take them. I promise you.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So to not have an answer to that question, I mean, one of the first groups I ever booked, I went on the course and that was the big thing for them. And I was like, man, what am I going to do with these guys? So, figuring out answers to that is just good business. But as you can imagine, taking the time to learn a new area is very, very challenging. So being in Wisconsin and knowing these places because they're in my backyard is one thing. Becoming an expert on Northern Michigan, for example, that's the most common. There's not really anybody directly focused on Northern Michigan and all the great courses they have. Again, there's 9 courses on the Golf Digest Top 100 list in Northern Michigan.
Holy smokes.
And again, you want to talk about why do you need a tour operator? Most of the resorts in Northern Michigan, the Arcadia Bluffs and the Forest Dunes, they're built really for that 3 to 4 day. We're just going to go there and be there, So I'm trying to combine them together for the groups that want to do 5 or 6 or 7 days and go up there and get your money's worth. So it took a few trips over. It took a lot of phone calls, took a lot of emails. So we do Northern Michigan. We got invested in Minnesota for the top courses in Minnesota. Then one of my little pet projects is Reno Tahoe.
Oh, nice.
Why Reno Tahoe? I got invited on a FAM trip, which is short for familiarization. So the word FAM trip for people like me gets my hairs standing on the back of my neck because they're the greatest thing ever. FAM trips are you get invited to an area, they totally blow your mind and try to impress you, so you'll go back and offer that to your customers.
Sure. Okay.
So I went on a FAM trip to Reno Tahoe back in 2017, fell in love with the area. The course is up in the mountains in Truckee, California, and it's not a great destination if you like to be real close to where you're playing golf. But if you don't mind driving 45 minutes to play golf, the place is it's spectacular. It's great. So I found out there really weren't anybody doing what I do. There were people at the hotels and resorts that were pushing golf packages, but I was like, well, I could do this. And so why is Reno great for me? We really have 8 or 10 courses we focus on, and there's 2 or 3 hotel properties. So every year I know my rates.
Wow.
I negotiate the rates at the hotels. And so when you call me and I sell you on Reno, it takes me about 2 minutes to put a quote together. And it's a great golf trip. So I do about 20 groups a year out in Reno Tahoe as a golf tour operator. And then internationally, again, going back to Scotland, I've done 7 or 8 groups of Scotland already. If I could stop talking about Wisconsin every day and talk Scotland every day, I probably would, because I love it that much.
Wow.
And my most proud thing to tell you guys about going to Scotland through Wisconsin golf trips is the groups that have gone over, they basically said it's just like going to Wisconsin. They're like, Jason,
Oh, that's awesome.
every course you took us to somebody came out of the office and said, "You're Jason's guys. Welcome to so and so."
Really?
And I'm like, that's
Wow.
what I've spent the time
That's
working
so
on.
that's
You know,
awesome.
Awesome.
I have made great connections in the entire country. So it's a fun world, and they're all professionals over there. No offense to Scotland or these other resorts or excuse me, to Reno Tahoe or whatever, but you know, even the smallest course you've never heard of in the world in Scotland, if you call and say I'm a golf tour operator, they know what to do. They send you the rates, they send you the photos, they give you everything you need to go sell the golf course.
Wow.
So it's a really cool thing, and there's no reason I shouldn't be booking 8 or 10 groups a year to Scotland at this point. You know, it's just I've made connections, and I've either played or visited every course in Scotland you'd ever want to see. So yeah, it's a cool
Awesome.
world.
So
Wow.
cool.
So okay, so on that note, then where's somewhere that you're not in yet that you're looking to get to? Because I mean, Stream Song is huge right now. Obviously, Pinehurst. Like there are these places you can go and golf.
The People's Republic of China.
Absolutely. North Korea apparently has an incredible golf course. You'll never beat the record of 18 hole-in-ones by Kim Jong-un, but
No, never. That's an easy answer.
great.
Honestly, it's if I could clone myself, I would take over Pinehurst. I'd take over
Yeah.
Pinehurst in a heartbeat.
Is that right? Okay.
There's just
There's
so much
really
there.
when I go to the North American Convention for the International Association of Golf Tour Operators every year.
Rolls
I'm
off the
involved in that
tongue.
organization. Yeah, the NAC of IAGTO for those that know that are in the know. But I go to these conventions, or I go to trade shows, and there's no Pinehurst golf trips. There's nobody dedicated to that area and really focused on it. And if you know the area at all, it's similar to Wisconsin. You've got a big resort. You've got Pinehurst Resort, like I've got Destination Kohler. And then you've got courses outside of the resort that people are probably going to try to play as well. There's only one person I've met. There's a lady at Tobacco Road who runs a travel agency out of Tobacco Road. And so I met with her, and I was like, well, what do you do? I was trying to equate it to what I do. And I said, what about groups that want to play a couple days at the resort and then they want to play Pine Needles and Mid Pines and
right.
Tobacco Road? And she said, well, I book the other stuff and then I give them the phone number for the resort. And I'm like, well, wait a second. That's not what I do. I mean, who wants to make 2 phone calls? That's why they're calling you, And then I said, what about transportation? She said, yeah, we've got 3 or 4 vendors that we recommend. And I'm like, what? You mean like people have to make multiple phone calls to do a trip they want to do? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So that'd be number one.
Okay.
Stream Song. How do you get to Stream Song? You pick up the phone, you call one phone number,
That's
you
right.
get on or you don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who needs a tour operator to go to Stream Song? So no, I've looked at like TPC Sawgrass, that Northeast Florida corridor. I did a fam trip there, and
Or Palm Springs,
know-
or that's near me. So I know that's
and the only other place I haven't been with my own 2 eyes, there's 2 places that I hear about a lot, and one's Nova Scotia, Cabot Cliffs in Nova Scotia, and Kiowa in South Carolina. I have not been to the Kiowa Resort and played the ocean
there's
course.
a lot
So
of courses right
other than
around
that,
Kiowa as well, right? It's on that island.
there's a lot going on in Kiowa. Yeah, for sure. So guys, look, I got a guy working for me full time. We are struggling to keep ends together when we hit a week with 8 or 10 groups coming.
Sure,
So like
yeah.
I said, I could, if I chose to, I could hire 3 of you right now to start booking 5 other destinations, and we could just start going after the world. Is that what I want to do? No. If I did, I would have done it already. So I was thinking about this earlier today I was talking to my wife about it. I can't think of really many people like me who are so dedicated to their home area as a destination. There's a lot of people I compete against, or you hear about these bigger companies, the golf zoos and that kind of stuff, they're really good at booking multiple places and they've got a lot of business, but I don't think you can call a golf zoo and talk to them about going to a specific area like I can talk to somebody about going to Wisconsin. They don't have that level of knowledge. So I like where I'm at, guys. It's the level of growth. Again, the only way I can be booking 8 or 10 groups of Scotland is to have somebody else working for me in the next 6 months, so I can keep working on that and spend the time on the phone and do all that stuff.
I'm willing to try haggis. If you need a rep to go.
No, you don't. No, you're not. No, you're not. We did a trip this year. I had my guys, and the haggis meat. They have this like haggis meatball appetizer at a lot of places now, and my guys didn't mind it. I can't tell you because I was too scared to try it.
Sure.
So
I think if I didn't know what it
my fish and chip.
was,
The greatest thing about Scotland is you can get fish and chips every night.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel what can I get tonight? Oh, they got fish and chips, I bet. So
Nice.
no, it's good times. It's good times.
that's so great.
Jason, thank you so much for spending this much time with us. So it's December right now when we're recording this. We're probably not that many weeks out from knowing if we're successful in kind of getting our dates and windows and things like that for May of 26, right?
It would be a surprise if I couldn't get what you guys wanted for 2026.
Amazing.
Again, Matt and I'll go through all the details. It'll be in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I'll be up at Sand Valley and be doing that day where we were there for a whole day last year, getting all the stuff we needed for our groups. And if with a little flexibility, I'll probably find a target week and a backup set of dates in case we run into an event.
Sure,
But
yeah.
that's really, I had to call some group leaders live from Sand Valley last year because I ran into some obstacles
Nice.
and we had to figure it out. So
Nice.
Matt will be on speed dial if I need him.
Sweet.
But you guys can have faith that he and I will come up with a great game plan for you guys. And again, the greatest thing about hearing you guys have 9, of course, is that whenever I have a group that has not a division, something non-divisible by 4 evenly, Jason Kauflin finds himself a way to come and join you
Oh,
guys.
darn, I
Oh,
have to play. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
please.
Shucks.
There's nothing better than, I get a group from 12 and we lost somebody at the last minute. We've only got 11. Oh, that's too bad. I'll just find my way to
Yeah.
come out to Erin Hills with you guys.
Exactly.
So,
Well, that's good to hear because, no pressure, but, the hopes and dreams of all of us are riding on you. So
That's right.
again, I take a lot of pride and tall Jason can back me up on this. One of the things that it's hard to quantify when you go to other places around the world or in the United States is the element of coming to the Midwest and or Wisconsin and how you're treated. And it's fun for me to hear it because we live in it. So you don't really think about it that much. But when you hear about how people are treated and just everybody's there to make sure you're taken care of, it would take a lot of pride in it here. So I think you guys are on a great path to having a great trip here. There's no doubt about it. And I think starting at a place like Sand Valley, again, it's a great, I'm very good at either doing a Kohler Erin Hills or a Sand Valley and Century World or a Sand Valley on its own. Unless you've got 8 or 9 days, you're not going to do it all at once.
No, I know. Yeah.
So let's do that 4 or 5 days in 1 or 2 of the areas. And the nice thing about my sales pattern right now is I've got a lot of groups that get booked for Kohler and Erin Hills one year, but are hopped up on Sand Valley and get on my list to do Sand Valley the following year. So
Nice.
it's as I tell any good group leader, there's only one thing more exciting than telling the guys in your group we've got this year's trip planned, and that's telling them we've got the next 2
year.
trips
That's right.
planned.
Nice.
So
nice.
yeah, it's good.
So-
It's good stuff, and I look forward
Well,
to seeing all
speaking
you
of
guys
getting on
here
your
for sure.
list, then, how does one do that? Tell everyone how to find you.
Yeah, no, WisconsinGolfTrips.com. Easy to find. If you forget that name and you just search anything in golf related in Wisconsin, I'll probably be found pretty quickly. Jason at WisconsinGolfTrips.com is my email address, and my contact information is easily found on the website. If it wasn't, I'd have a pretty bad website. So
Fair enough.
the website's there to be a tool for you to find me and to call me. But again, one of the things I don't have on the website, Hayes, I don't have one of those stupid questionnaires to fill in with how many guys you got and when you want. Why would I ask? Why would I make you waste time on that? We're going to talk about. I'm not going to lift a finger on your group until you have the time to talk to me about your group because I want to hear what it's all about. So, it's something I take a lot of pride in this area and my courses. And I will leave it with this, that you can book a trip to Wisconsin. It's not rocket science what I do. You can call Kohler and you can call Erin Hills, you can call Sand Valley, but I promise you that when your name is on the tee sheet and it says Wisconsin Golf Trips My Golf Spy Group, they're going to know you're coming, and you're going to get treated that much better because of the amount of business I bring to everybody. So I have a lot of respect at most of these resorts and at all these resorts, and it's something I take a lot of pride in.
That's awesome.
My
That's
man.
awesome.
My
Awesome.
man.
Hey, so
All right.
Jason, just real quick. So when we come in, do we just drive right to your house? Like, where does the sleeping arrangements? Because I can bunk. I don't mind. I'm the youngest of 5 again. So it's, but if I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and, ask for warm milk and all of that stuff. So
I can joke about it, but I have been known, again, if you saw the stuff that I do behind the closed doors to make trips work.
When you said you hosted the guys that came in early, I swear I thought you were going to say I brought them to my house, and I was like, you are insane. Like,
Jason, Matt can't sleep unless you tuck him in. Just so you know.
That's
I
right.
have,
I'm buddy the elf.
I have a group of 12 ladies from Chicago that we have talked about having a cookout one of these years at my house. You know,
That's
like,
awesome.
If I had, I have been known to pick up a random guy in a group and drive him to Chicago for a flight just because it makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Like, if I can spend my time to make a trip worthwhile, I'm going to do it. And it very much usually comes back and pays for itself in either future business or connections. So like I said, I had a guy that wanted to look at taking the train down to Chicago because he was meeting his wife. They were from the UK. And I was listening to him talk, and I'm like, dude, how about this? How about I come pick you up on Sunday morning and drive you down to Chicago to meet up with your wife? Like, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. But on his side of the table, it was immense.
That's huge.
No,
Yeah.
sure.
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
it's massive.
question.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Amazing.
Well, Matt, you definitely found the right guy. I think we're in good hands. There's no
I think so
question
too.
about
No
that.
doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Awesome.
Jason, thanks so much for spending the time with us.
Very fun to talk about my world with you guys. I appreciate
We
it.
can't wait to see
Sounds
it.
great.
I'm
we
really
cannot
looking
wait.
forward to it.
All
Also,
right,
maybe
everyone.
Around
All right, buddies.
the time of the Open, we might have to have you back to talk some more Scotland.
Oh,
Some
100%.
of that
Absolutely.
local knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime. Yeah. Scotland is, again, people want to know about Ireland versus Scotland. And to me, Ireland's just a little bit too much driving for me when you get into those trips, being in the shuttle and the cars to get to the courses you want to get to. But Scotland, I mean, you guys, I could take you to a place you've never heard of and tell you to play 7 courses you've never heard of. And you'd be like, that was the greatest trip I've ever been
Oh,
on.
man.
Like, every little area of Scotland has all the courses, and they've got the high end, the middle grade, the real well-known ones. Like, it's just every little pocket around the country. So it's, I just find it easier the big thing about Scotland for me is I'm booking it all direct. So I'm not dealing with another tour operator over there. So you walk into a course, they're dealing with me, and that's a level of insurance that people like to hear about. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah,
This was
thank
a
you.
lot of
Thanks,
fun.
guys.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
All right. Thank you for watching Bogey Ball Society. I got it right this time. It's not baggy balls. It had nothing to do with that. I misheard because my hat is slightly over my ears. See here, it's cold. This is why I'm wearing all this ski gear and stuff. Yeah, so Jason Kauflin's a heck of a guest. I could probably stop doing this, but once I start, it's real hard to stop. So look in the link description below for all of his socials, all his contact information, and all that stuff. But cannot recommend using him enough because he is all right. 3 all right. That's right. That's kind of my thing. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. That's right. Did you know that it gets cold here in California? I wasn't really on the ski slopes. Did you guys figure that? There's a pretty good trick, right? Because I filmed myself vertical, and then Brian was up on the ski slope, and he really was on the ski slope. That was not a trick. All right. Finger guns. Oh, no, I did. I lost the ski sticks just now. That's my 7-iron. That's mine. Yeah. No, there's 2 of them. Different. I'm testing one out. One's got a graphite shaft, and the other. It doesn't matter. All right, I'm gonna stop this now. Here we go.